Hi everyone, thank you so much for having us this morning. It's really a pleasure to be here with you guys. So for this talk, I'm going to give a brief introduction of what we are and what we do and what we've been doing for the past few years. Then I'm going to hand over to Luke, and he's going to share a bit about design processes and working with the community and sharing a bit of photos of a recent project that he did. And then I'm going to hand over to Jeremy, who's going to go a bit more in design about actually how we started and how See-Saw-Do was born out of working with community. Okay, so we've been running for 4 years. The project was born out of a real love for children, because I think everything we do is driven by just an admiration for these little people who are the future of our country. I have a background in illustration and design, and so I'm just going to run through a few slides and show you some of the work that we do. All of the murals that we do are based on a relevant design that we consult with the community. So I'm just going to flip through a few slides. This is one that we did at a primary school in Elsie's River. They have a little food garden there, so we made a design based on that. We've been fortunate enough to work in quite a broad variety of beneficiaries as well. So this was at a primary school. Here we worked in a correctional facility in Johannesburg. It was quite a intense experience, but really a special one nonetheless. Okay, so another one at the correctional facility. This one was also at another school. So here you can see we worked with a few corporate companies to do mural makeovers at 3 different schools in Langa. This is a mural that we did inner city, some more mural makeovers. This project was a turning point for us, I think, for See-Saw-Do. We were commissioned to transform a mobile resource center into a space where children can come. So it was a vintage bus that we were given to transform into the center that they can use to educate children in. This was the first time that we moved away from just doing murals to more spatial makeovers, to create a calm and serene space where children can come and learn. So here's some details of the pictures and stuff. And then most recently we moved into classroom makeovers as well, which we are very excited about. So I think the whole idea with our classroom makeovers is to declutter, simplify, create a serene, organized environment where children can, because I think contrary to popular belief, children need almost minimalistic spaces to be able to really learn. But I'll go into that a bit more later. For now, I'm going to hand over to Luke, who's going to go into more design processes.
Yeah, my name's Luke. I'm a recent graduate from Stellenbosch University and recently just joined at See-Saw-Do. So I'm a new member of the team, but it's been quite a fun process, and quite a lot of the stuff that I've been thinking over during my studies really starts to link up with what Jeremy and Sean Lee are already doing. So I'm just going to share some of those thoughts just to hopefully spur on a bit more of discussion, and I think Jeremy will round it off. But see if this will play. Okay, so this is just a little time lapse of one of my final year projects. It also was based around the idea of a mural. But more than that, I was really just interested in, a little bit of context. This is working with a school, in underprivileged school, you could call it, in just outside Stellenbosch. And we basically worked with grade 8 and 9 learners. And so what interests me is, as a designer coming into the space, working with a community, working with people, how do you go about a process that really looks to include the people that you're designing for? I think design often, in my mind, how I've seen it is, as a designer, you design something and then you sort of give it over to the user and then hopefully they use it and it works well. But I was really thinking, how can you really design alongside a community. So starting to talk about things like co-creation and like an inclusive design process. How does that look? How do you go about that? So in the process, we really look to engage the students and which I guess in this case is the community that we were designing for, within the design process. So we took them through different stages of design from just firstly started discussions and interviews among the students themselves, just to really get them to learn more about, I guess, looking to identify with themselves, what are their real challenges, what are some of the things what are their real needs. And for us as the people coming into this context, we really learned from the kids themselves. So it was a process of us learning from them and building empathy towards them as a community. But it was actually also a process of really facilitating a process where the kids, the students, could design themselves. So it really comes out of a place of understanding that everyone has creative ability, creative problem-solving ability, and how do you, as a designer, rather than coming in and designing what you think is the solution, how do you rather facilitate a process where people start to engage and think about the solutions to their own needs? So we did a bunch of things. I won't go into all of it, but the kids wrote about who they are on sticky notes and drew a bunch of images, and we started sort of grouping them and seeing interesting things. So like they started drawing pictures of sort of the outdoors, outdoor spaces, the outdoor environment, and that was very interesting because the school was very much in the Winelands area. And then they started drawing a lot of images about sport, play, and interaction in that sense, and also family and relationships. Those are the three themes that we took away from it. And then we asked them, what would you like to change? So as you can see, like, it's a very open process where you're really including and valuing the people you're designing for to really to voice themselves, I guess. And this was really interesting to me. Like, I think some of the images are quite, I think you could say violent maybe. Like a little guy hitting what looks like a girl there. Yeah, and little kids with knives, and some things got quite far. Like, yeah, kids were drawing guns and stuff. So what was interesting is we used this as a process to engage in discussion with the community, with the kids, and it really served as a really good starting point for that. So, for instance, the guns, we said, like, guys, this is what you've drawn, because this is them voicing themselves. It seems like there's some violence in the school. What do you guys have to say about that? And then the kids kind of entered into that discussion. It was a really good starting point. And then, for instance, the guns, we were like, guys, is there guns at the school? Is that really, people bring guns? And one guy was, yes, guns, machine guns. And we were kind of a little bit skeptical. But as we discussed, and the students discussed it amongst themselves, it turned out there's no guns at the school, but there has been knives. And so we just started learning that there is this challenge with violence and very much kids feeling threatened at school. So already we're starting to map out, I guess, a better understanding of what are the real challenges. And then these are just some more photos of designing the wall, painting the wall alongside the kids. And I'll just flick through some of them quickly. But basically, I think some of the questions that this project made me ask is, how as a designer can you rather become more of a facilitator? How can you rather facilitate a process so that community can be more engaged in it? How can you make the design process more open and inclusive? And how can you gain more empathy for the people that you're going to design for? I think that's a real challenge, specifically when we start talking about design in community spaces for social change. You start working with a lot of local people in very specific local contexts. And it's really important, I think, we believe, to to really design or produce a solution that really holds true to the people that you're designing for. So that's just some of the thoughts around what I've been doing, and I think it links up quite well with Jeremy and Sean Lee and what they're doing. And I think, Jeremy, you want to take it a bit further.
So thank you so much. Let me see, what's the next slide? The next slide is actually where See-Saw-Do almost started. It was the first, it's actually all her idea. We didn't really come up with the idea. This is Mabel in Kayamandi. Sean Lee studied there as well at Stellenbosch. Part of her final year, the brief was very open and vague, designed to make a difference. And then like, where do you start? And then what she shared, it started from a real passion for children. So the little program, as I understood from our discussions, that it was, they had like first like a little bit of introspection to first understand yourself, to really find like what makes you tick and what makes you go that extra mile, so that when you come up with a brief that you have to work with the whole year for, that you at least know, you are going to pull it through. And then after introspection, children was the main thing. And then where do you find children? Out of maybe in a creche. I think that's the first part where you can maybe start. And if it's a design for change, like where do you see like an obvious need? And at that stage, it felt like it might be good to link up with other organizations that work in this space, working with creches, helping creches get registered, and getting teacher training and all those kind of stuff. And then she met up with the organization's name is Prochorus. I forgot, I fell blank for a second. Prochorus, and they worked in Kayamandi. And then one of their community workers took her to Mabel. And then with Sean Lee's idea, illustration, I really love illustration, I really love children, maybe that's a combo. And I'm sure if we have to like, hey, what can you do with illustration and children, and we have to give some ideas, one of the ideas that might come out is educational children's books. So that was actually the start. So Sean Lee thought this is something she can get marks for. You can present a book. This is what I designed for my course, and this is where it happens. Met with Mabel to see, is there actually a need for that? Yes, there was, or first met with Mabel and then saw there's not really a lot of resources at her center at that stage, and especially relevant resources, because there was magazines and stuff like that, but not age relevant and also not language relevant at that stage. So the idea was then to maybe come up with bilingual educational books, Xhosa and English, that felt that might be a good idea, and then that actually got started. Sean Lee designed 3 books at that stage on topics that Mabel suggested, like animals, numbers, and colors was some of the stuff that she came up with. And then drew the samples of the books and develop the ideas, take it back to Mabel and look at the pictures and says, oh, I love the pictures. Can't you paint my creche with these pictures? And that really came like, maybe that's something that we can do. And Sean Lee found like interesting ways to, that's Mabel's creche beforehand, and came up with ways to still get marks, so design posters, so you can still do that. And so in any case, so how this theme came is also speaking with Mabel. Okay, now let's see, how can we, because the previous painting, this little, you can't really see, this is a little bit blurred on this projector, but it's like a guy with one arm, and the other arm is like omitted on the side, and he's like super, just in red and brown colors. So he's had a long time on the beach, and they actually never completed the picture. It was supposed to be like a full picture. So someone came in, she paid them to do a mural, and then the guy just dropped her. So with that one arm man, and she really didn't like that picture. So I think that was one of the reasons why painting it sounded like a good idea. And this is also a way for her to show that this is a creche. because I mean, between all the other houses, it doesn't look that much different unless you read that little sign over there that says Prochorus has a creche there. So coming up with a design. Also, what you sometimes see is at creches is like a Mickey Mouse or a Donald Duck and stuff like that, and that just felt like, sure, maybe this is just, we don't want just to project Disney onto a school. And I guess also she wouldn't get any marks for that. And but in any case, so then she talked a little bit with Mabel, like how can we come up with a theme that really communicates something that you maybe do in the class or that really relates to you and your school. And then they came up with a theme based on a Xhosa nursery rhyme that the kids sing in the school about birds flying. So that became the starting point. Okay, let's design a theme that is about birds flying and birds in the community. So Sean did a little bit of research, what's the kind of birds, to start a starting point, and thought she's going to do this mural on it, because that's what Mabel requested. And then we realized as well, that time of the year, there's such a lot of projects going, final year, your scription or mini thesis thingy that needs to be written. So this is not like painting a canvas. This is quite a big surface. So it's going to take time. And at that stage, she was my girlfriend. And now she's my wife. And that's how she roped me in. And then, so basically what happened is we realized that time is running out. And we were almost forced to come up with other ideas. At that stage, we didn't think like, oh, how can we have like super community impact? We just thought, we started with steps and it just guided us there. So we were very naive, and but at least we thought like, okay, surely if we can, everybody, like the little kids, can do like coloring books. So let's make like a coloring book, and we select the right colors and everything, and then we just go on Facebook and invite friends and say, hey guys, do you want to come and join us? And we color in a wall. And so at that stage, we borrowed someone else's laptop, because we didn't have one at that stage, or Shanley, and also signed out the varsity's projector. I'm not saying what we're going to do with it. And one evening in Kaimandi went in and projected it, and it attracted quite a lot of attention, big lights in the community on walls. And in any case, we drew all this stuff. For the Saturday, we got paint sponsored, and on the Saturday, we're not sure how many people are going to pitch, 25 friends of friends of friends, as it trickled down on Facebook amazingly. Pitched that day, we had the paint ready, and it was on a Saturday. We borrowed some ladders from the mama and some of the other community around her. She sorted ladders, and then 4 hours later, with community getting involved, children getting involved, the whole place was painted in 4 hours, which was quite mad. I don't know what is the next slide. This is a video. So this is more. We didn't take a video on that stage, but this is just more or less. When lots of people are painting, it actually goes quite quick if there's a system guiding them. So that is really, after that, when we had that experience, getting a lot of people together, we thought like, wow, look at this amazing thing that if a lot of people can just plug into a platform. So we didn't really that much design, or our goal then was not to, how can you design murals? That's like one part, but how can you rather design a platform that really makes it easy for people to just plug into? So a lot of people have like, oh, they want to make a difference, they want to do something, but we all have hobbies or work that you are really busy with already, and you can't just commit to something always like all out and then know that you're going to have an impact. So we saw that there is still a need for, and I don't say we have completely, you know, got the solution to that, but there is a big need for a platform that makes it easy for people to make a contribution, and so that that platform really takes all the weaknesses out. so that we can make sure it's a platform that has a holistic approach. So there is not just painting crashes, but with this is also partnering with strategic organizations who focus on all the other holistic needs, teacher training, softer skills, human development, how to run a business, all those kind of stuff. So that is very much our key focus, is not as much how can you design murals, but also how can you design a platform that makes it easy for corporate companies to partner with us to make sure it's not just another Mandela Day painting and the walls is not prepped and I'm just out of the community and next day, next winter, all the paint is coming off again. So how can you create a system and partnerships collaborating with different people from different sectors to really come together and communicate clearly what the common goal is, what the objectives is, and then also to try and always test. Like how can we, okay, now we see this, when we did that first crashes, we didn't have that much education in painting, in prepping. We would just thought, yeah, you can get PVA and you can go and paint. But if the wall's not prepped properly, especially if it's like a little wood shack, after the next summer, it's going to start peeling. So all those kind of stuff, how can you rather design a system that facilitates easy for different people from different sectors plugging in to create change together. So that's basically in a nutshell. I think there's maybe a final photo of how the school came out at that stage. Here's some more photos of how you, because it's such a nice, easy way for people to get involved, and that really gave us a business model to create fun team building kind of volunteer events, and that's actually how we funded this, because we at that stage we didn't want to be a charity. We said we want to be a business. So how can we deliver a service to also the people volunteering? So a corporate will in the end sponsor a makeover, but what they will get is also a team building event part of their, so they can actually pay from it out of their HR budgets and CSI budgets. And since we partner with other organizations that can offer them Section 18A certificates, BEE points and all that, we really want to see how can you add value along the line to everybody that is involved. And that is the last slide.